Hello. There's a cool interview with Ion by Hazelnutty Games. Let's see what Ion has to say about various aspects.
Hello.
Hi, how's it going?
It's going good. How are you doing today?
Pretty good.
Yeah, all things considered. Awesome. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for
We have to take it away from you, and losing something awesome sucks. And having every
Exactly. It sucks to lose something awesome every patch, every expansion.
one of the questions was like, how do we get out of it? How do we get into this, and how do we get out of it?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that led us to just kind of reflect on the past dozen or so years, and
Maybe instead of reflecting, just play a Lost Ark. Copy their system, make it even better because there is room for improvement for that one, and you'll be good to go.
when we're here talking about what our next expansion after that is going to be, and when you're leveling beyond 70, you're not going to be leaving this behind. You're going to be building upon it.
Confirmed, next expansion after Dragonflight is gonna be level 80 cap.
I don't think it means necessarily the complete end of borrowed power, so to speak. I mean, Gear is borrowed power, right? Gear is the original borrowed power. You have a tier set, you get your 4-piece set bonus, and you know what? You're going to leave it behind and move on and replace it with something new.
Yeah.
And there are always going to be, systems like that and more self-contained things. But we don't necessarily, want to slam the door shut entirely there, because I think there is something.
You don't want to shut it down, but tell me this. Why the heck did you shut down like old time walking gear sets? People farmed for it. There was communities that farmed for it. Get like a perfect set for, I don't know, TBC time walking, Wrath of the Lich King time walking, and so on. All those sets. And suddenly when Mage Tower came out, you just fuck you all. We are disabling it all. You can never go back to it.
We're looking forward to just hearing feedback from and talking through over the course of alpha and beta, right?
Mhm.
What are I'm sure
If
eagle-eyed
you listen
observers
to
saw
it,
things like Convoke, and we're looking at evolving what some of our endgame reputations have been. Reputation hasn't really changed much since literally
account wide,
2005. There's this old structure of like
account
3,000
wide,
points,
please.
then 6,000, then 12,000, then 21,000 as you go from honored to revered to exalted. It gets progressively harder to reach the next tier.
Just make it go even to 48,000 or 100,000. Make this shit account wide. I don't want to refarm every single exalted reputation I got on my main, on my alt, because I just decided to reroll or have fun on that alt. And then I look at something that I want to buy. I have to get exalted again. For example, like this rune that you get from Zeret Mortis right now, the plus 18 one. It's exalted. I want to use that on every single character because I farmed the reputation.
There are aspects of how Covenant Renown worked in Shadowlands that solved a number of those problems in terms of more measured, steady progression, laying out on a track what goals were ahead of you. And I think that's something that we want to adapt to some of our endgame structures in Dragonflight. So imagine instead of your Venthyr Renown or your Night Fae Renown, it's this Centaur clan or the Explorers League that you're building renown with and working towards unlocking goals along the way, not necessarily through the same structured weekly quest where you have to do the same quest every week like you did for your Covenant.
Okay, if the reputations are changed into renowns, right, and there will be no new reputation in Dragonflight and onwards, it's just gonna be renown, right? And then renown already is account wide right now, yeah, or at least to some degree. And it's also easier to farm it on your alts right now. If that's gonna be the case with new reputations, okay, you almost, I mean, you probably solved reputation because it will be account wide, okay? But if the renown is gonna be just like at the beginning of Shadowlands, and you have to farm it hard on every single character, nah, just fuck that. Nah, not gonna work.
If you're an outdoor world-oriented player who doesn't do Mythic Plus, who isn't doing progressive rating, all those players still want and deserve.
If you're not doing one of those two things, then you're not playing WoW, to be honest. Like, maybe you are doing some quests and all that, but You're gonna get fed up with it sooner or later.
Here, really, it's more about choice. It's more about specialization. And I think that's how we're hoping to achieve differentiation. Because I think part
I hope it's not meaningful choice.
of identity is being able to do things as a blacksmith that not every blacksmith can do. If all blacksmiths are identical, then it's like, well, just find a generic blacksmith, hand them your stuff, they'll click combine. Specializations are an interesting path there. Something that we didn't really get into much today, but we'll be talking about a lot in the weeks to come, is that each of these professions actually also has a talent tree, a specialization to it, so that rather than just picking, let's say, armor smithing or weaponsmithing, you can invest in armor smithing and then further in making plate armor and further in making helms, and have bonuses to your ability to make higher level ones at a higher level of quality that are, at least initially, exclusive with making the choice to invest in making mail gloves or in making two-handed swords. Long-term, players and completionists who we know there's a decent Venn diagram overlap between hardcore crafters and completionists will be able to eventually make all the things, but that's a long-term completionist goal. I think, thinking back, a really successful example of this was actually kind of thematic with our Wrath announcement today. Jewel crafting in Wrath, where early on you would do jewel crafting dailies and get currency that you could use to buy patterns off a vendor, and you could choose to get the haste crit cut, and someone else might get the whatever, right, a different one, or you're doing int and they're doing strength. Some of that was like figuring out niches in the market, what gems were in high demand. Others could just be in your raiding guild. Well, you know that someone has these two covered, you're going to get the one that the warriors in your guild need for their gear, and you're complementing each other. Long term, everyone ends up with a lot of stuff, but as we know with crafting especially, like, it's really the first few weeks of a tier, the first couple of months of a tier, where there's the most focus on getting that advantage and on specialization. And so that's a piece of how we hope this will play out, where you can be the person that, if someone through our BOP cooperative crafting / work order system, if someone gets a frame or a base for a great helm from running a dungeon or from a rare mob in the world somewhere, they're going to seek out the person on their server who makes the best helms. And I think it's possible to be that person and be known as that person with sufficient specialization. And that can become part of your identity for those who want it. And others are just going to be happy to engage in trade skills at a more shallow level, as they always have, and that's fine. We don't want to add complexity or force people to do stuff if that's not what interests them. But for those who really want to go deep in the system, you want that depth to be there for them.
I like that a lot. This might be like a super early question on.
That's all cool what he said, but for professions, it's nice to go deep, right? Like you said, for those who want to. Nice to keep it shallow for those that don't care about it. That's nice. But what about people that have like 20 alts, all classes, and I want to have every single profession? Please, it's so easy to rework profession. Make them account-wide, so you can do it on every single character, your progress is saved. Keep the specialization, because that sounds really nice. Go deep dive into it, yeah, that's cool as well. But for the picking of your specialization, right? I mean, not specialization, but the profession. Right now, you just pick 2 professions. Instead of picking 2 professions, you would pick 2 perks connected to the profession. You should think about a nice thing for this one. So it's not too OP, mandatory, but it's also something cool that you actually want to have. For example, it could be like, let's say I have all the professions leveled up, all the specs deep dived, fully developed. But then let's say I would pick alchemy. And from alchemy, I would get like a permanent health potion that I can use. Because I have the alchemy as my active profession. And then let's say for my second active profession, or maybe just keep it to 1, but let's say there's 2 of them, just like it has been so far. And then for the second one, let's say I'd pick, I don't know, mining. Because mining would give me a 5% buff, or speed buff when I pick a mine, and I just like picking mines, so I would choose that to be my active profession perk, right? But all the professions account-wide. I don't know why you want to keep it that way. That's identity. Stop putting focus on identity on a character. Put the focus of identity on the person behind the character. The person can be multiple characters.
Do you have an idea of where you see crafted gear item level fitting in the ladder of itemization to keep these things relevant?
Before he answers, it should be highest item level, mythic level. You have to think of a very clever system where you could get to that mythic item level via professions, where you have to deeply involve yourself into professions to get there, because, you know, giving out gear for free isn't nice as well, or isn't nice either. And make it also time gated, perhaps, just like from mythic gearing or mythic plus gearing, raid gearing, PvP gearing. Think of it this way: professions are account wide. Thanks to that, you can disenchant any kind of gear you get or material. You have a weekly quest you can complete, but you don't have to. But you can if you want to invest yourself into this system. And you gain materials from professions. And then at the end of the week, boom, you get this legendary material from the vault. Not the vault, the vault has to be deleted. You get the legendary material at the end of the week in a special profession box. And then you can use that material to upgrade your gear. That comes from professions, by the way. People will want to invest time into professions. Like, you go into blacksmithing, and like you said, there's specialization for helm, gloves, yada, yada, yada. But you get those materials are then used to upgrade that helm, and boof, you're growing in power with professions. And then, let's say you're 1 month into the expansion, you have already 4 items, 4 legendary items, right? And you say like, this helm, feels like I don't want this helm, or I don't want this plate helm, right? You disenchant the helm, you get the essence back, and you can infuse that essence into your other slot. If you have the profession, that is, right? Look at this way, that maybe not for alts, because you would have to think of a system where, you know, you don't switch like that, because professions are account wide. But no, this could actually work. Like, professions are account wide. You get those materials weekly base. Let's say you crafted a full plate gear set for your warrior. Now you want to switch to a rogue letter, and you want to craft him the gear. Well, if you have the profession, you can do it. But there's a cap. You did not level up the profession because you focused everything into plate stuff, into blacksmithing. So now what do you have to do? You have to level up your profession up, and then it'll take you like a month or 2. And you got full letterworking perks, and then you create this rogue. Poof! You can disenchant all your gear from your warrior with a cooldown, I'd say, right? And then put it on the rogue gear, and you can play rogue. Wow! Professions is exciting now. Alts are exciting. Is it OP? Not really, because you would have to smartly design the mechanics of this disenchanting. What are the cooldowns? Because if you do that way, like at the beginning, it's not going to be able to switch freely like that, right? But once you get to, let's say, 4 months of the expansion, you already have all the professions leveled up, or maybe 6 months, right? Poof. You may grind another set just for your letter characters, or you can just disenchant everything on warrior. You say, I'm ditching that guy, warrior is bad, poof, you have a rogue now. Or you don't have to disenchant it at all. You can just be like, I'm the plate master, from warrior to paladin. And then you would also have to maybe think of a system where, because I could see where people would abuse, like, oh, I'm not a plate user, I'm gonna have all plate classes, right? Yes and no, but you would have to make some sort of time gating on this, so it isn't gonna be abused by special players, maybe like me. But but you see where this is going. This would be an exciting system for professions. Also, if as the expansion goes on, right, you increase the cap for the essence that I told you that you can get. Like, if you would take a week break, or let's say you take a month break, for example, you come in, you can farm up 4 essences, like, boof, straight away, just go for it. I mean, it's not gonna be like instant and poof, easy, but you'll have to farm your way to it, but you'll be able to farm it, and it'll be like some sort of weekly quest that can accumulate. Just like let's say this tier set thing you've introduced with the tier sets, right? If professions are account wide, the thing that you just said or Ion said is kind of invalid, but not really, because you could make these recipes rare drops from the world, raids, whatever, and maybe for the 4 months you've been farming, playing, you haven't gotten the recipe, okay? Or you haven't gotten the achievement, or you haven't done something hard to receive the recipe, right? But there's this other player. You can put in the work order for it, that he creates it for you. But then on the other hand, people that are lucky or get it can like put a monopoly on the market, and then, you know, oh, one guy got the BOP recipe for a cool mount design or cool Drake customization. Well, he's the only one. Guess what he's gonna do? Yes, 1,000,000 gold tip, or 10 million gold, because, you know, I'm the only one. I can dictate the price.